Okay, welcome to week 13. Your to-do list is at the top of the week 13 homepage as usual. Bullet point number 2 here, check out the remaining practice quizzes and final exam. So if we scroll down to the content, you can see that Logic Quiz 3 Info and Practice Quiz is available, so is the Fallacies quiz, and so is the Cumulative Final Exam. Even if you're not ready to start studying for these, to actually take them as if they are real quizzes and the real final exam, you might at least take a look at the layout and the kinds of questions on the quizzes and exam. In the remainder of this Welcome to Week 13 video, I'm going to give you advice on each of the 3 modules and take a look at how you might work ahead in the coming weeks. Let's start with Informal Fallacies. I'm going to click on the materials. This is the same module we have been working on for a number of weeks now. So be sure to look at the week-by-week guide. We started with the big idea, then we focused on just memorizing the definitions of the 8 fallacies we're looking at and being able to identify simple examples of each one. In weeks 12 through 14, we're focusing on passage analysis, on being able to analyze and evaluate arguments in a bit more depth. And each week, we're highlighting a couple of our 8 fallacies. Last week, we focused on equivocation, ad populum, ad hominem, ones we'd seen before, and introduced straw person. This week, we are going to focus on slippery slope and hasty generalization. Now, you've heard about hasty generalization already because this connects to the Unit 3 Mod 1 Statistics module. So we're going to look at these two in more depth. What you can expect in the homework is reminders of definitions, multiple choice-ish kinds of questions. So instead of simple multiple choice, you'll be asked to identify what an example looks like. You'll be given a passage and you'll be asked, what fallacy does this at least look like? And then you'll also be asked to determine whether or not, in fact, it is a fallacy, because merely spotting patterns is not our goal here. Our goal is careful passage analysis and evaluation, and being able to go beyond when something looks like a fallacy to be able to say when and why it really is one. So you'll have questions like that that are auto-graded. And you'll also have a couple of short answer questions where your task is to be able to reconstruct the argument in standard form, identify its various parts, fill it out, analyze it, decide if it looks like one of our fallacies, and then actually evaluate it to see if it is one. So that's the plan for fallacies. As you can see, we've got one more week where we're going to practice passage analysis and evaluation, and then week 15, which is after fall break, so this is actually a couple weeks away, you'll have your fallacies quiz. There's a YouTube playlist, there's a passage analysis guide you should definitely have looked at by now, and flashcards for memorizing the definitions and being able to spot the patterns, but that's just the first step. Okay, let's go back home. And now let's return to Unit 3 Mod 2 Probability. This is our second week working on this module. Okay, so I said in the advice above here that you should watch all of the videos, and there's one video that is especially relevant this week, and that is this conditional probability and tree diagram video. So be sure to watch the conditional probability and tree diagram video. Your homework will start by revisiting the cab case with the visual way to think about base rate probabilities and how to take them into consideration so you don't commit the base rate fallacy. And then you'll also demonstrate the probability of what's the probability that a cab is actually blue given an 80% reliable witness says it's blue. You'll be able to calculate that probability using a tree diagram And then we'll also look at the same thing. Instead of talking about probabilities, we'll talk about frequencies. And then we'll look at a few medical cases where we use the probability tree approach and the frequency approach. They will be heavily guided, and you'll be guided towards which calculations to do. Our focus here isn't careful probability calculation. This isn't a course in mathematics or probability. It's to get the big idea about how to reason about probability, and more importantly, the kinds of errors we're likely to make when we're reasoning about probability, specifically what it means to ignore base rates. And our real goal here is to just get a sense of how significant ignoring base rates is to thinking about certain kinds of questions, and to be able to just have a sense of why they matter when in these kinds of calculations. So if you want to see what you'll be expected to be able to do on your own, there isn't a quiz for Unit 3, mods 1 through 3. Instead, you will find some questions from the statistics, probability, and causation modules in the final exam. So be sure to look at the practice final exam and look at the kinds of questions you'll be asked to do on your own. For today, or this week, watch the tree diagram video and do the homework. It is heavily guided. Reach out if you have questions. Our third module is proofs, which we have also been working on for a couple of weeks now. So again, be sure to review the advice and the week-by-week schedule. So far you have been introduced to the basic rules and the methods. You have started practicing, hopefully beyond just doing last week's homework, have been doing these practice exercises. By this week, you should be working on examples at our target skill level, which is from the 3.7 All 5 Basic Inference Rules set. And the homework will be similar to the kinds of exercises you see here. What are these exercises? Hopefully you know what I'm referring to. If you scroll down, here are the practice exercises. So if you are behind, don't skip ahead. It really does build on each other, so make sure you start at the beginning and work at the right level until you get to this target level where you can do a variety of kinds of examples from 3.7 All 5 Basic Rules. So definitely be doing practice beyond the homework. And there is a homework. And then next week, week 14, review and complete logic quiz number 3. This is actually already available. You can navigate to the practice logic quiz 3 by going down to the modules if you're ready to take the practice quiz and study. And if you're ready to take the actual quiz, you can get there either by navigating to week 4, the home page. Notice there are some coming soons in week 4 because week 14, because not everything is posted early, but the logic quiz is early. There's no more homework on proofs. So once you've completed week 13, you are ready to complete this quiz. So you can get to it here, or you can navigate as usual to the modules. Scroll down. After last week, week 13, we have logic quiz number 3. As usual, there is a README page that you have to read me before you can get to the actual quiz. So here's the reminders, reminder that there are practice resources, reminders for the best way to study, reminder there's an optional retake and a 1-week grace period, and an academic integrity reminder. The quizzes are open book and open notes and open internet, but any working with another human being in any way, if another human being is involved in how you got to your answers in any way, or if you were involved in how anyone got to their answers in any way, that is an academic integrity violation. Once you've clicked Mark as done, you can now navigate to logic quiz number 3. Now, if you are ready to start studying for logic quiz 3, let's take a look at the practice resources here. So there's information about the quiz, Here's our usual links to a Google Doc and PDF versions of the practice quizzes, and I've also created a video where I complete the practice quiz while explaining my thinking. In the video and in general, I recommend that you take the quiz on your own as if it's a real quiz. Sit down and take it in a timed setting, as if it's a real quiz on your own without consulting resources to see where you're at. Don't look at resources until you get stuck. Try completing the whole quiz. It'll be a way to fine-tune your studying program. The next best way to do it would be to watch the video and be sure to pause for every single question and try it on your own before looking at my think aloud and solution to the questions. But just to highlight, there is a video think aloud for this quiz. Okay, that completes our tour of week 13. I look forward to hearing from you in your week 13 check-in.